In a world filled with screens and distractions, we invite you to reconnect with the natural world around you. Welcome to Nature Bound, a podcast dedicated to unpacking the intrinsic bond between humans and nature. We'll uncover the benefits of spending time outdoors, including how a nature-centric lifestyle can improve your mental health, elevate your leadership skills, and unleash your creativity. And now here's your host, outdoor enthusiast, and renowned author of The 7 Principles of the Magic Rock, Emanuel Rose.
Well, how about let's move on to number 2, maximizing your outdoor experience. What about setting up the perfect campsite? What do you look for comfort and function?
Yeah, for me, it's about having enough flat space. So
Yeah.
those
Hmm.
roll-up tables are bomber because they don't take
Yep.
up a lot of room, but you end up having places to get up out of the dirt. So
Yep.
that's one of the priorities for me. Good
I've
chair
got
and
two of
lots
those
of
things. Yeah.
tables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are great. Yeah. Two of those. I always take two of those and two chairs because
right.
you never know who might stop by.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, and you want to have two whiskey glasses too.
That's it. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or like I have one of those Cabela's camp kitchens, so I'll use that if I'm going to be dug in for
Mm.
7 or 10 days and set
Mm-hmm.
up the kitchen that way, and then have good table space for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So flat spot. Anything else? Do you look for a windbreak or things like that to certain areas, you want to be out of the wind or out of the
I like to
rain
have
or
moving water and a good view, so
yeah.
that's one thing. And then yeah, like you're talking about, having it be um, covered in terms of wind and rain, but not so covered that you end up with bugs. So
Right. Hmm.
there's kind of a push pull there. So I'd much rather have wind than mosquitoes personally.
Exactly. Yeah, a little breeze helps a
Yeah,
ton.
yeah,
Mosquitoes can be annoying little buggers, as we all know.
yeah.
um, what about, do you set up differently if you're just camping or taking pictures versus fishing? Do you look for certain things when you're going actually fishing, or is it pretty much all the same? Doesn't matter.
For me, the threshold is just how many days I'm going to be out,
Mm.
right? Because that's kind of for me, that's the cost of the camp is how
Yeah.
long it takes to set up versus how long I'm going to be there. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
if I'm by myself, then I can go a little more Spartan.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in a group, then I usually uh, try to plan for more for other people and what they're likely to forget and comfort they might not have figured out they needed.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And security too. Sometimes you want to be sure that you can leave your campsite for a day and go do your thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
important.
that's
Down here in California, it gets pretty crowded sometimes, so you gotta either go further out or just suck it up and go spend the money and buy a campsite.
right. Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, you gotta, what do you keep in in the truck?
Yeah.
Extra guns, fly rods, camera gear, even
Hmm.
your Yeti cooler. Sometimes you want to keep tucked
Yeah.
away because it becomes a target. So,
Yeah.
um, a lot of it is that kind of risk reward for security.
Yeah. What you're comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about cooking outdoors? What are your delicious meals that you make after a day of fishing, or do you have some go tos, or you just kind of keep it Spartan?
Yeah, there's a few things I love to do with wild game, especially. We'll do like a breadcrumb covered protein snack that we
Oh,
fry in olive oil, and little
nice.
garlic salt, little red wine. That's either in strips or little nuggets. So
That sounds
it's a
good.
yeah, it's a beautiful way to have that. And then I like to grill.
Hmm.
It's the least amount of mess.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
simple. Yeah. I always have chicken. I buy a already either cut up a chicken, piece it out, or buy it already pieced out, and then parboil it.
Oh,
So that when I
nice.
get to the campsite, then all I got to do is, put some heat to it and kind of sizzle it and grill it, and then it's
Yeah.
perfect. I don't have to cook the whole thing and make sure it's cooked because sometimes either the wind's blowing and your fire's going out, or it's cold, and sometimes it's hard to get a good cook. So
Yeah, no, that's a good way to do it. We do the same thing with potatoes. We cook the
yeah.
potatoes in
Hmm.
advance, so you can have baked potatoes, but you don't have to wait for the whole cook to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to do big egg scrambles and
Mm.
that's kind of stuff for breakfast.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of times we're just up and out early, having a cup of coffee and then going and working, going and
Yep.
doing whatever the activity is, and then just have light snacks during the day, and then have doing steaks or chicken like you're talking about, grilling
Hmm.
that.
Yep.
And salad. I like those bag salads. That's really
Yeah. Simple.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do. We typically do oatmeal, instant oatmeal in the morning, just to get something in your belly to keep you going. Coffee, obviously. And then lunch, take just snacky stuff for lunch,
Yeah.
salami, cheese, crackers, that kind of stuff. Candy bars is always good to have. Cookies.
Yeah, and then getting familiar with uh, doing some things around the campfire
Yeah.
and some of those Dutch oven treats, right? Like
Yeah.
done pizza. We do sometimes we'll do the little game hens.
Hmm.
Do some kind of Irish corned beef thing,
Yeah.
So those are nice because you can get that all going and cooking and go do
Yep.
an evening routine,
Yep.
fishing or hunting, and then come back
Hmm.
and your dinner's pretty much done. So the Dio is pretty awesome that way.
Yeah, and if you're pretty handy on it, you can stack them. We used to do the triple stacks, and
Yeah.
you get your meat on one thing, and you got some other vegetables or potatoes or something in another one. That's really fun to do. It's always used to on the guiding trips, the river trips. People it would always amaze people,
Yeah.
how we could do that. And we always took a piece of something weird, like we took a piece of cauliflower, or broccoli, or something, and stuck it in the eggs in the morning, or stuck something in the brownies in the evening, just to see who would
Who would
admit to
forget
finding it.
it?
And 9 times out of 10, nobody would say anything.
That's hilarious.
That was one of the fun things we used to do. Yeah. What about snacky stuff for lunch? You just make sandwiches, or you eat on the go, or sometimes don't eat?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll do bagels and cream cheese and
Yep.
and do
Hmm.
some kind of thing like that, and then like you're saying, just charcuterie, right? We'll just have
Yeah, exactly.
have almonds and pistachios and cheese and crackers. Yeah, just keep it easy. I mean, usually you're just cranking through. Don't You're sitting in a dirt or sitting on a
Yeah.
rock. You don't have a lot of ability to make a nice meal in the
Well, and the
daytime.
last thing you want to do too is make a nice meal and have to do the dishes, because you don't always have the full on dish setup,
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I still to this day do the the 3 pail, the first the fresh water to knock all the chunks off, and then you got the soapy water to get all the stuff off, and then you got the bleach rinse just to kind of put the finishing touches on it.
Yeah,
So
that's the raft guide
yeah,
training you had.
yeah, yeah. Never leaves you.
Huh? Some things, yeah, exactly.
It was good training.
Yeah.
Um, And then what about road trip safety tips, including security, wildlife precautions, emergency preparedness, first aid kit?
Yeah, that's good. I got the spare tire area of my truck has got all that stuff in there.
Hmm.
I got a couple of emergency kits for first aid kits, and then I've probably got about 5,000 calories worth of bars and stuff in there, so I could get snowed in or stuck
Yeah.
and survive if I had nothing else. I think it's important to pay attention to that. I got a shovel, I got a machete, I got extra
Hmm.
knives, extra rain gear,
Yep.
and one of
Fire
those.
making stuff. Yep.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So that's the first thing is that I could probably live for 4 or 5 days, just out of my truck if I had nothing else,
Hmm.
including water tabs,
Yeah.
purification tabs.
Yeah. Yeah. I always take a Sam splint too, just to have
Uh,
in my first aid kit, because you never know. I've never had to use it, thank God, knock on wood.
yeah,
But you never know. You want to be able to handle it, because sometimes we get out there, you're at least a day away from a hospital, if not more,
yeah,
or an 8-hour drive or something. You want to be able to handle everything. So,
Yeah, at least some Gorilla Tape and you'll be able to
You're
split
right.
it up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Duct tape, man. Just use
Yeah,
duct tape.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then, we got to be constantly aware of our surroundings for both
Yep.
two-footed predators and four-footed predators.
Hmm.
Like I was in Montana camping this fall, and it was bear country, and so everything went in my truck. So not that they're not going to get it out of my
Yeah.
truck, but at least it's
Yeah.
not easy access and drawing them in my camp, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's really about awareness to me,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's different for us as men. We're not if we're camping by ourselves, it's not the same
Hmm.
as what At least that's the comment that I've gotten a number of times from women, is that sometimes when they're camping by themselves, it's there's a certain level of heightened awareness of
Yeah. Hmm.
vulnerability. So in those cases, you want to have a bear spray
Hmm.
kind of at the minimum.
Yeah.
I think a lot of light sources, another thing that we
Yep.
haven't talked about. And
Yep.
I'll tell
That's a good
you,
one.
I've got the old, you know, the old 8D battery
Yeah.
flashlight, as well as probably 6 headlamps. So that's
Oh,
one of
that's
the
smart.
spots where
Hmm.
I'm on like a triple redundant on the lighting.
Hmm. Hmm. And
Um,
batteries. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and batteries, you betcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Big. Yeah. Big lanterns or something. Yeah. Take that. And then there's new the string light things that you can get from, like, I think Empowered makes a nice set of string lights that you can hang on your tent or camp, or and some of the times, you go to walk to the bathroom in some of these campgrounds and can't find your way back. It's nice to have a set of string lights to know, yeah, that's my camp.
Oh yeah,
So
that's me. Yeah, and they don't take a lot of power because the
not at
LEDs,
all.
so
Yeah.
it's awesome. Yep.
Yeah. Or they're solar powered. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're a fly fisherman, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. Yep. Do you fly fish all the time? And what kind of techniques do you find work best in some of the backwater places that you fish? Little streams
Yeah,
and
we call it orthodox fly fisherman.
I love it.
Yeah. And on top of that, I prefer to dry fly fish. So
Same.
yeah. So then, I run through, especially a backcountry situation, you're really on, you could just have a stonefly pattern or a
Hmm.
caddis pattern,
Yep.
and you pretty much can catch fish anywhere in the Western United States.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Down here, yeah, we just throw caddis on, catch anything,
yeah, exactly.
anything, anywhere. Yeah. Anytime too. Yeah.
And then,
Once in a while, you need to be subsurface, but not very often.
yeah, you go hopper dropper until you get tired of that and you cut the dropper off.
That's right.
The first fish that hits the dry fly, the dropper
That's it.
comes
The
off.
dropper goes away. Exactly. And sometimes that's the first cast.
It can be, yeah. I
I
was on
can't
the
tell you.
McLeod years ago, and I was fishing an indicator, and I had one of those indicators that was big, big red foamy thing, and the fish came up and hit the indicator, and I was like, "Nope, no, I'm not. I'm going dry fly only now."
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the most?
So, well, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, where's the most exotic place you fished?
Oh, geez. I mean, I've been to New Zealand and I've been to
Nice.
Denmark, and I've been all over. Uh, I came back from New Zealand thinking I was never going to fish again because it was, how do you ever match that, you know?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. It's tough. You get spoiled sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And big
Um,
fish typically when you go to those places.
Big fish and not particularly wary.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was pretty wild. Um, but no, I like to fish the bigger hatches now. Like the
Hmm.
salmon fly hatch on the shoots
Yep.
and some of those things. And then you luck into a green drake hatch or something like that where the fish just go absolutely bananas, and that's
Have you been
fun
down to
too.
the Sacramento? Fished the Sacramento
Yeah,
River at all? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Beautiful. Yeah.
yeah,
I have a great friend of mine that guides up there. It's a great spot to go.
yeah. I mean, California still has some of the best trout fishing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you look at the map and you say, well, I could do I could fish for big trout, or I could fish an adramus, and there's still plenty of places to go and
Yeah.
catch a
Yeah.
steelhead.
I got to go to Ireland a couple of years ago on a fam trip with another writers group, and we were sitting at lunch one day, and I had mentioned fishing, and they have these things planned, so you kind of go where they want you to go, And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, the woman comes running up to me and says, "Do you really want to go fishing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, the guy is here from Ireland Fisheries, and he says there's a place right up the way that if you guys want to go, you can leave now and go."
All
I'm
right.
saying, "All right, good. I just got
Yeah.
down. I don't need lunch. We'll do lunch later."
Yeah.
So we drove up to this lock. They call them, the lakes are called locks over there, and there was
Yeah.
a guy there in this old wooden rowboat with old wooden oars. It was his family's lock. And me and one of the other participants from Colorado hopped in the boat, and he rowed us all around this boat, and we were flipping these flies out there. And sure enough, I caught a trout. It was awesome. It was
Yeah. It's
so
amazing.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just what you described is why we're so lucky to be in the Western United States too, right? Like
Yeah. Hmm.
we have access to public land that is
Yeah.
unparalleled in anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is some private land that you get on too sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have
Well,
Hog Creek
yeah, I mean,
Ranch
it's
up here
always
that,
private, but the
yeah,
public we have access
we
to
have
is
great public
phenomenal.
land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it. You're right. Yeah. Let's see. What about conservation? Leave no trace, respect nature, sustainable fishing. Talk about those things a little bit because there's a lot of folks that, they like to go and catch their limit, and regardless of what the limit is, they have a different limit sometimes. And we all see trash and garbage along the trails, which I get it. It falls out of your pack and things, but I think it's pretty simple to, leave the place as you found it, or better than you found it, actually.
Yeah, I think that's how I was raised, right?
Hmm.
We're the guys that always are picking up cans or garbage or whatever.
Come back with a pocket full of
Come
trash.
back. Yeah, exactly. And that's how my family was from,
Yeah.
and how I was trained. So I think of it as I really want it as pristine as possible. That's how I
Hmm.
like to enjoy it. And I encourage everybody to uh, do the same and
Yeah. Hmm.
clean up after yourself and after others and keep it clean. Um, and I think we've seen that there are very few inexhaustible resources in nature, and
Right.
so it's important that we go and enjoy the sport and enjoy that part of it versus having to have a big pile picture at the end of the day for
Yep.
Instagram, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I avoid that Instagram stuff too because I think more and more, at least here in California, you go to these spots, and I'm old enough to remember when there was nobody there, and
Yeah,
now you go and there's never nobody there. There's
right.
always somebody there,
Yeah.
and so I don't take pictures anymore. I don't tell anybody where I'm going. I don't tell anybody where I've been. Probably doesn't help, but helps me.
Well, no, it's good, and I think hot spotting, I think, is one of the worst things that you can do
Yeah.
for a spot, right?
Yeah.
Because it draws in people, and like you're saying, the more people that come in, then it seems like there's a lower level of respect for that place,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
eventually, it can get beat up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's just a function of the more people there. It's just it's
yeah,
tough. You gotta
right.
too many people. And then I think it's even more important too. Sometimes when you go on the road and you go outside of your own area, it really pays to stop at the fly shop or the hunting shop or the outdoor store and find out what's going on, where to go, what are the regs, because sometimes you look in these documents that are produced at the Forest Service or wherever, and sometimes they might be a little out of date. So there
Yeah.
was a fire there last month, so you don't want to go in there anymore. You know.
Yeah, and I mean that was one of the things that we always did, and my dad trained me to do was if you are going fly fishing, go to the fly shop, ask
Yeah.
questions,
Hmm.
buy $25 in flies,
Yeah.
and make sure
Hmm.
those guys stay in business.
Exactly. That's the other thing these days, right? Yeah, even the local outdoor shop. Exactly. That's how they
Yeah,
make their living.
yeah, and that's
It's not the locals.
part of staying keeping the sports that we love vital.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Nature Bound. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. If you found value in today's episode, please share with someone who needs to hear it. Be sure to purchase your copy of The 7 Principles of the Magic Rock at emanuelrose.com or on Amazon. We thank you again for joining us today, and remember to get nature bound.